Have you ever felt guilty without even knowing exactly why? Not because you did something clearly wrong, not because you made a mistake, but just a strange feeling that you should have done better, or acted differently, or said something else. It's that quiet kind of guilt that doesn't come from your actions. It comes from a conversation, from a look, from a tone, from something someone said or didn't say. And the more confusing part is, it doesn't happen with everyone. It happens with specific people. You can spend your whole day feeling completely fine, confident, normal. And then you talk to that one person, and suddenly something shifts. You start replaying things in your mind. You start questioning your behavior. You wonder if you were rude, if you were selfish, if you didn't do enough. And slowly, without realizing it, you start feeling responsible for things that were never actually your responsibility. That's where this gets interesting, because guilt is supposed to come from doing something wrong. It's a natural response when we make a mistake. It helps us correct ourselves. It helps us grow. But when guilt appears without a clear reason, it usually didn't come from your actions. It came from influence. Let's slow this down and look at it in a real, everyday way. Imagine someone asks you for help. You're busy. You genuinely don't have the time or energy. So you say no politely, respectfully. That should be the end of it. But instead, they respond with something like, "It's fine, I'll manage somehow." Now on the surface, that sentence seems harmless, but something about it stays in your mind. "I'll manage somehow." It sounds like they're struggling. It sounds like they needed you more than they said. And suddenly, your simple no starts feeling heavy. You start thinking, maybe I should have helped. Not because you were wrong, but because the situation was framed in a way that makes you feel responsible. This is where the pattern begins. And once you start noticing it, you realize how often it happens. Let's take another example. You're in a conversation. You express your opinion calmly, normally, and the response you get is, "I didn't expect that from you." Again, nothing aggressive, nothing direct, but something about it hits differently. Now you're not just sharing your opinion, you're questioning your character. What did they expect from me? Did I say something wrong? And just like that, a normal conversation turns into self-doubt and then into guilt, because now you feel like you disappointed someone, even though you didn't actually do anything wrong. This is how subtle emotional pressure works. It doesn't attack you directly. It shifts how you interpret your own actions. Now let's bring this into relationships. In relationships, this pattern becomes even stronger because emotions are already involved. Imagine you need some space. You say, "I just need some time for myself." That's a healthy boundary. That's normal, but the response you get is, "Okay, I guess I'm not that important." Now your boundary is no longer just about your time. It becomes about their importance. And suddenly you feel guilty, not because your need was wrong, but because it was turned into something else. And if this happens repeatedly, something starts to change. You begin avoiding situations where you might need to say no. You start over-explaining yourself. You start prioritizing their feelings, even when it costs your own comfort. And slowly, you stop listening to yourself. Now here's something very important to understand. This type of guilt doesn't come from truth. It comes from framing. The way something is said, the tone, the timing, the emotional context, all of it creates a feeling. And that feeling becomes stronger than logic. Even when you know you did nothing wrong, you still feel like you did. Now let's look at a workplace example. You complete your tasks. You do your work properly, but someone says you could have done a little more. That sentence doesn't say you failed, but it removes the sense of completion. Now instead of feeling satisfied, you feel like you fell short. And if you hear this again and again, it becomes your internal voice. You start thinking, maybe I'm not doing enough. And over time, that becomes guilt. Because now, even when you do your best, it doesn't feel enough. Now think about this carefully. Do you feel guilty around everyone, or only around certain people? That answer matters. Because if it's only around certain people, then the feeling is not coming from your behavior. It's coming from the interaction. And once you see that clearly, everything starts making sense. You stop assuming that every feeling of guilt is valid. You start questioning it. You start asking yourself, did I actually do something wrong, or do I just feel like I did? That question changes everything, because it separates reality from influence. Now let's go deeper. Why does this work so effectively? Because guilt is one of the strongest emotional tools in human interaction. When someone feels guilty, they become easier to influence. They try to fix things. They try to compensate. They try to prove themselves. And in that process, they give more than they normally would. More time, more energy, more attention, more compliance. And that's where control begins. Not through force, but through emotion. Now here's the key shift. Once you become aware of this pattern, it starts losing its power. Because you stop reacting automatically. You pause. You observe. You separate what actually happened from how it was presented. And slowly, you start trusting your own judgment again. You realize that not every feeling of guilt means you did something wrong. Sometimes, it just means someone made you feel that way. And once you understand that, you regain control. Because now, instead of reacting to the feeling, you evaluate the situation. You ask yourself, was I actually wrong? Or was this just presented in a way that made me feel wrong? And that awareness protects you. It protects your time. It protects your energy. It protects your confidence. Because you're no longer carrying emotional weight that was never yours to begin with. So next time you feel guilty, pause for a moment. Don't react immediately. Don't rush to fix something. Just ask yourself one simple question. Is this guilt real, or was it created? And the answer to that question can completely change how you see your interactions. If this made you reflect on your own experiences, then you're already becoming more aware. And awareness is what protects your emotional balance. If you found this helpful, like the video and subscribe for more insights into human behavior and psychological patterns. And I'd like to ask you something. Have you ever felt guilty, even when you knew you didn't do anything wrong? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might help someone else understand what they're going through.